Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on Sri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kasmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Supreme Court to deliver on Tuesday its judgment on Afful Markin's petition challenging the Speaker's declaration of some 4 seats as vacant. Meanwhile, the MPP caucus in Parliament extends olive branch to Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin over the current impasse in the House.
To Mr. Speaker's olive branch. We want Mr. Speaker to demonstrate the statesmanship that he's always known.
We'll bring you more on that. Also, Second D High Court clears a Memphis Central NDC parliamentary candidate Joanna Jan Kojo to contest in December 7 general election. We'll bring you details. And speaking of the NDC, the former president John Mahama is currently engaging clergy in the Ashanti region as part of his tour. We'll bring you details of that as well. And much later on the program, Upper East Regional Minister is paying a visit to the premises of the irrigation company of Upper Region to enforce a compliance order from the Chief of Staff directing the retired Managing Director of the company, Dr. Bonaventure Aligabam, to hand over with immediate effect. Thank you very much for joining us today. Now, the Supreme Court has scheduled Tuesday, 12th November 2024, that's tomorrow, to deliver judgment on the disputed decision by the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, to declare 4 parliamentary seats vacant. This follows the hearing of the substantive case filed by leader of the MPP caucus, Alexander Afful Markin, challenging the Speaker's October 17 declaration. The Speaker's communication on the matter threw the Fomena and Memphis Central, Suhum and Agona West MPs out of Parliament and handed the majority status to NDC, which hitherto formed the minority caucus. Today in court, lawyer for Afful Markin, Joe Garte, argued that the Speaker overstepped his constitutional authority when he interpreted the Constitution. The Attorney General, who was joined to the suit, agrees the Speaker erred when he declared the 4 seats vacant. Let me bring you an excerpt of what transpired in court.
And clause 2 of Article 97 is very important. And so the point I make from all of this is that anything that affects the composition of Parliament for a future Parliament which has not yet been elected is unknown to the Constitution. The Constitution does not anticipate that all the matters set out in Article 97 clause 1, including J and H, which are an issue before the court today, have any bearing on matters beyond the life of a current Parliament. They have only consequences so far as the current Parliament is concerned with. And respectfully, apart from the clear or the indication in the language of Article 97 clause J, which talks about a person seeking to remain in Parliament, I will refer the court to Article 97 clause 2, which has not featured so far in the argument before the court.
And you had there the Attorney General, Godfrey Yabua Dami, making his submissions before the court earlier today. Lord Edward Sare is a man. He was in court throughout the process. He joins us live in studio now. Lord, so we just heard the AG, but we know prior to that, that of Afful Markin had also spoken as well. Just really bring us what transpired beyond what we just heard.
Right, so Beatrice, when the case was called, we realized that lawyers for the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, they were absent in court today. Now, you recall that at the last agenda date, the Supreme Court actually directed them to file their statement of issues, statement of case, and all their other processes. And they did indicate that if they fail to do that, the hearing or the proceedings will go ahead without them. And so when the case was called and then the various lawyers introduced themselves, realized that the parts where the speaker's lawyers stood was absent. And then when they inquired, realized that, okay, he did not show up in court. And so it was indicated or recorded that the speaker's lawyers was absent, and so the case would continue. And so right from there, that's when the lawyer for the plaintiff or the applicant, Afful, led by Jogati, the former Attorney General. This was the first time he was making the argument, because in the preceding cases when he was in court, although he was a leader of the bar there, he did not really make any argument. But
could it be that it wasn't because it was because the substantive case was not on the plate yet? Possibly,
because he did indicate so. And so today he relied on their statement of case and argued, and afterwards the Attorney General also hammered on some of the issues that they had raised. Some of the things that did come up was that there hasn't been too many instances like we have in Parliament, but he did mention that, for example, in the 7th Parliament, there was a similar incident where, if you'd recall, the former member of Parliament, Mr. Isiama, his seat was declared vacant by the former Speaker. Now, the AG said that this was unconstitutional and wrong. And so the fact that there's been a wrong precedent does not mean that the subsequent Parliament should also follow same, which is what we are seeing now, because once the members of Parliament decided to go independent, their seats were declared vacant. The AG said that no, this is wrong, and then he indicated that, for example, in the 60s and 70s, there were other incidents where some members crossed carpets, and in all of these, the Parliament, or the composition of Parliament, did not change, and that was the right thing. And so he was saying that this is what should be the case, and those arguments put forth. Now, after everything, he was actually praying the court to sort of penalize the lawyers for the Speaker of Parliament
for not showing up.
Indeed, he said that they were disrespecting the court, and so was praying for some orders. But then the justices, led by the Chief Justice Beatrice Adu, said that, well, it's not his place to say so or do any such thing. They would put all that into cognizance when they eventually make their judgment known, which will be tomorrow.
And indeed, prior to the court deciding that it will give its judgment tomorrow, a lot of us were expecting that the judgment will be today. And even based on what you said, they set the record straight that whether or not they were here, they will still go ahead and deliver their judgment. Do you know what might have changed? Why now we are getting it tomorrow?
So at the last adjournment date, what the bench said was that today the hearing would continue. So I think somewhere along the line there might have been some form of miscommunication, because what the Chief Justice said was that they were going to hear the matter, continue hearing the matter, which was the substantive matter, because in the previous instances they had the application for Justice Gable to recuse himself, which they shut down, and then there was the other application by the Speaker of Parliament to set aside his ruling barring him from executing his order. So once they ruled on it and said they were adjourning to today, so they'll hear the substantive matter, where the lawyers from the various quarters will make their arguments and statements of case why the issue on hand should go a certain way or otherwise. And afterward, they indicated that when that is done, depending on the time and how things go, they would rise and possibly come at a different hour and then give the judgment. And then later on, they said that looking at everything that has panned out, they'll just hear the matter and see how things will pan out. So once we came to they made it clear that, okay, they've heard all the arguments and all that, and then tomorrow they'll give the judgment.
And my final question before you go, judgment is expected tomorrow based on what the CJ said. Do we expect that an opportunity will be given to Thaddeus Sori and, of course, the lawyers of the Speaker, and he's leading the legal team for the Speaker before that judgment is delivered?
No, so that ship has essentially sailed. Once the Supreme Court indicated that they were given several opportunities to file their
so there will be no opportunity to file that statement of...
It's done, that window is closed. everything that should have been done today when the other lawyers all made their arguments.
Thank you very much, Lord Adwasare. He's our court correspondent. Meanwhile, the leader of the NPP caucus in Parliament, Alexander Apanyomarkin, says his side is ready to meet the Speaker for an amicable settlement of the impasse in Parliament, whilst lamenting the difficulties the NPP side has had to endure over the past 4 years. Apanyomarkin said he's hopeful that tomorrow's ruling will be in the NPP's favour.
We will want to avail ourselves to Mr. Speaker's olive branch. We want Mr. Speaker to demonstrate the statesmanship that he's always known to be. On this occasion, it's been disappointing, but we will not give up because we believe that upon reflection, Mr. Speaker will do the needful. All that the NDC guys are doing, okay, he knows about it, and he would have to call them to order. Else he will be complicit, as we see him to be. He's the head of the assembly. Parliament, no, so, the no, and yet, yes, Mr. Speaker. So, na sumdwembra Parliament. Oma NDC for no, and sorry if baby omotie, and kwatna omokwenya so. Yen kwatna so, and ye kwenya no, ye kwenya ne, dia ewo, ne nifa. Omuti ni benkum on kancha ne NDC for no monko ene nkyere se yembu no yebu no pa ye papa no na de oye no enye ese ye ka no kreche no.
And you had Alexander Apanyomarkin. He's the leader of the governing MPP in Parliament, standing on olive branch, as it were, to the Speaker of Parliament. And in the latter part of that sound, you heard him saying that what the Speaker is doing is not good and he needs to be brought to book, or his attention needs to be drawn to that. Let's stay at the court. And Justice John Konto of the 2nd D High Court has ruled in favour of Joanna John Kujo, vacating the injunction that previously prevented her and her name and picture from appearing on the Electoral Commission's notice of poll. This decision comes after a heated argument between lawyers for both the plaintiffs and defendants. As a result, the Electoral Commission is now required to immediately add Joanna Jan Kujo's name to the notice of poll, paving way for her to contest in the upcoming elections. Lawyer for the first defendant, and who is also the Director of Legal Affairs for the opposition NDC, Eduji Tamaklo, emphasized in an interview that now the injunction has been lifted. Well, now that the injunction has been lifted, the Electoral Commission is expected to do the needful.
Please, we want to thank the courts. I will say more. The Electoral Commission rep is in court. He's aware the court has vacated the injunction. The basis on which they disqualify Joanna Jan is based on the injunction order. Now that the injunction has been vacated, Jane Mensah should do the right thing. I will say no more.
And you heard the Director of Legal Affairs for the opposition NDC. Well, and obviously relieved Joanna Jan Kujo, the National Democratic Congress's parliamentary candidate from Memphis Central, is also urging her supporters to remain calm and continue their campaign effort despite the recent challenges.
I'm so happy. First of all, I have to thank God for everything that has happened today, especially also my new lawyers who came in to rescue me, because we've been going back and forth and everything, but this new lawyer stepped in to make sure that everything has gone well. And then we all know that sometimes people that your fathers or mothers who assigned to you, and some of these people are the same people behind everything. So the things that we've been through, I cannot go into details, but what I can say that I thank God and all the NDC members in Memphis Central, branch executives, constituency executives, all the Western region NDC people, in fact, regional executives, coming home, and we are going to do our campaign lunch, and after the campaign lunch, then so I know that the people are waiting for me and they are happy. So I want to tell them that they should just go and find something to eat and drink and be happy and thank God.
And you heard Joanna Jan Kujo. She is the National Democratic Congress's parliamentary candidate for Memphis Central, elated after that court ruling from the court Let's hit the campaign trail. Constructed in the constituency and healthcare facilities too will be enhanced. Dr. Manu Adu made the appeal during the continuation of his tour of the Ashanti region. Take a listen to exactly what he's been saying.
Media Minyaki of my piggy, honorable Beji or my piggy, which may be of my piggy, SC9. No, go. I you know about the Quasa people, or the Quadro. Media Yamiado, what to mammy, and let's make you my piggy, SC watching. It's SC9 do a son that I come. Maybe I'll be Buakunta, maybe I'll be Chen, and Sema Picasa Mayani, maybe I'll be Bunakuntama. And yes, sir, meaning, sir, Nanabe. University, anyway, by the way, KUST, medical school campus, and Pequai, University, wow, Yaquaya, let's say, and I'm Swami, Nina, a Bunakota. And the minister of Blue Akontanti, may you remember about each Monday, Amabo, may you remember about each Monday, Amabo.
And you heard there the flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, Dr. Manu Adu. Let's now cross over to Daniel Opoku, who is a man with the Vice President and flag bearer of the NPP. He joins us live on the phone. Daniel, we just heard the Vice President speak there in Tree. Are you able to give us a summary of what he said and what more he's been saying?
Right, so good afternoon to you. Basically, the Vice President has been talking about other initiatives when he went to the constituency this morning, where he began his stakeholder engagement at currently it's at Bosunchi, where he's engaging other chiefs of tradition. But basically, he's been talking about the need for the chief to support him to be able to become president, so that when he becomes president, then he'll be rolling out the living wage or living allowance for them. Then also, the issue about mining has been very key in the ongoing discussions, as what has been the commitment of the Vice President or the NPP flag bearer when he wins power. And his commitment has been that he's going to set up a mining bank to support small-scale miners, and also going to give a lot of authority and powers to the chiefs. So the chiefs will take part in the concession process. So you have the chiefs who also control a portion of the mining processes, so that we'll be able to deal with the issue about galamsey. And most importantly, the chiefs were concerned about the need to have a university in their constituency, where the Vice President has really renewed his commitment. Then, because he was speaking to the chiefs at Bequai, and Bequai is one of the strongholds of the MPP, and Bequai, the current member of parliament, who is a current member of parliament, was also present. So basically, that's what the Vice President is asking them, or telling them to vote for him. That when he becomes the president, then obviously all their concerns will be addressed. The issue about roads also was very key, was also very paramount in his conversation with the chiefs. Currently, he has to move to Bosumchi, that's the constituency of the Minister of Education, Dr. Yao Edu. He's engaging the stakeholders. Right after that, he'll be engaging what we call Community Connect, where he will sell his ideas to them for them to vote for him. But when we do the comparative analysis between him and former President Mahama, Dr. Muhammad Baumia is saying that he has a higher edge over former president. For that reason, the need for vote for him, because he will come back to account for him. It is important to place on record that today the Vice President of the MPP flag bearer will be touring 4 constituencies today. Unlike last where he toured 3 constituencies, today he'll be touring 4 constituencies. We have the 5 which he just completed. He's currently at Bosunchi. Right after Bosunchi, he'll move to Ejiso. Then the last place will be Asopa before the close of day today.
Quite interesting, Daniel, because at the same time that the Vice President, you said he just finished engaging the clergy and the chiefs. He's now in the constituency of the Education Minister, but the former President, John Mahama, is also there engaging clergy as well in Kumasi. I'm just wondering whether you've been able to pick any reaction from the people of the Ashanti region, how these 2 leading parties or leaders are in their region trying to get their attention.
Right, so before the Vice President began his campaign in the Ashanti region, there were talks that the former president will be coming to the Ashanti region. And basically, he is not coming to campaign. He's coming to engage a section of the clergy in Ashanti, basically in Kumasi, and that really has not caused any problem within the space of the vice president or the deputy platform. But the reaction that we have been able to take is that the vice president will still go through with his campaign to the end of this week. It's likely to conclude the campaign by close of this week. For him, it's not bothered, and the campaign team are saying that they are not bothered with exactly what the former president has come to Kumasi to do. But they are really focused, and they're asking the people of Kumasi to vote for him. When you move around, the euphoria you see, realize that the people, whatever Ashanti region, are ready to work with to work with the vice president, Dr. Muhammad Bawumia, and also are ready to vote for him to become president, that he'll be able to address their concerns. But basically what they are saying is that former President Muhammad is not an option for them. It is only Dr. Muhammad Bawumia who will be able to take the position to resolve their problem.
Thank you very much, Daniel Opoko. He is a man following the vice president and flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, Dr. Muhammad Bawumia. I was just telling you that the former president, John Mahama, is also fellowshipping with the clergy in Kumasi, the same region of Ashanti. Let's hear what he's been saying in the last few minutes.
Energy sector. Dumso ye jumadin ye pam dumso free asase so and na wo hwe se ne nyomasiko ase dumso asaba ehumu se aban se ye de se per timetable yanka se control ade na omo de omo ma timetable bia omo adwene se so omo ma timetable e che se omo age atum se dumso asaba anso ye hu se dumso no aba just that we nim emra ebedum wokania ne ka ho ne se Ghana Gasa Nyamiadum ye Professor Mills the vision or the buying Nyami Emamia Hondia Miso Mitimi ye the Omoka bears $600 million. Into Abambia a baby after Abatua Yebetui after 7th January. Ejumading at the Yenim.
And you heard the former president John Mahama saying that the NDC or any government that comes to power after this December 7 general election will have to work hard because there are a lot of challenges, including those in the energy sector. We stay a bit longer in the NDC. Or on the NDC and the Afful North National Democratic Congress fraternity has been cautioned against voting skirt and blouse in the upcoming December 7 general election. The national chairman of the party, Johnson Asiedu Nkatia, has urged disgruntled and aggrieved party supporters to band together to canvass votes for victory. Listen to exactly what he said.
As Gracia and Kayenchum, Yaya, as Gracia, man, was your minor, said your minority and such a teacher of Maisi Casa, Nebaniano. Enti, ye to Abba, near ma, a call so near to Abba, near Kofa, or here a woman in say, won't be to me a control, and no better say, or no, President of National House of Chiefs. Nana Makoni Krum. Ose nika MPP t-shirt ekoye campaign na Ghana hemfo nyina mopani a odama no ono de ne ho akobo amanyosem a otimi edru baabia awurawura baabia campaign ma MPP a ebe dan na se MPP ti akonya so na man no se ya obetimi abie na no aka se de ekono nye na no mode no ba ya president besi ne what he said statement ba kokora ba out to say National House of Chiefs president na no asem.
And you heard the national chairman of the opposition National Democratic Congress, Johnson Asiedu Nkatia, speaking to supporters of the party. And from the campaign trail, we go to the Upper East region, and the regional minister, Dr. Hafiz bin Saleh, is paying a visit to the premises of the irrigation company of the Upper region to enforce a compliance order from the chief of staff, directing the retired managing director of the company, Dr. Bonaventure Aligabam, to hand over with immediate effect. On November 6, 2024, the General Agricultural Workers Union, in collaboration with the Ghana Trade Union Congress and farmers from the Tunnel Irrigation Farming Scheme, locked up the offices of Dr. Benedict Bonaventure Aligaba, Managing Director of ACOR, and the Office of the Accountant. This action was prompted by Dr. Aligabam's refusal to hand over his position after an agreement with the Upper East Regional Minister to do so by November 4. Instead, he reportedly went into hiding in the Navrongo municipality. Castro Senyala is our man. He's been following this story for months. He joins us live on the line. Castro, it looks like finally there was a last straw that broke the camel's back.
Yes, Beatrice, you are right about that. As you speak now, information we're getting is that the regional minister is preparing to come to ICOR, where I will be in the next few minutes to ensure that the MD complies with the order from the presidency. Everyone here is not happy about the development because, according to the farmers and workers of ICO, Mr. Lugubam's continuous stay in office is not the best for them. On social media and even in markets in the township, conversations are everywhere about the minister's visit. And for a lot of people, the minister's visit is coming at a rather late or a period where people had lost hope in what government could do. For them, they felt government could have done this earlier than they are doing now.
And so you're saying that the minister is expected in the last few minutes, but how is this expected to take shape?
Right, so Beatrice, we understand that the minister would first of all come to ICOR, where he would meet with workers and also engage Dr. Aligbam first of all, and then convey the message to him, because according to sources, Dr. Aligbam usually says the letters don't get to him. Letters from the presidency don't get to him. So this time around, the minister wants to personally convey the message to him there, and then ask him to leave. And if he fails, then other means would be used. We understand that policemen are on standby, and as we speak now, 5 policemen are stationed there as we speak now. I was there about some 10 minutes ago, and policemen were there, positioned the armed one for that matter, to ensure that there's peace and serenity, even when the minister comes to let him hand over. But then the minister would come to plead with him to leave, and if he fails, we understand that a little bit of brute force will be used to ask him from ICO once and for all.
Quite an interesting scene we're about to see, perhaps, in the part of the country where you are. But briefly, over the months, we've heard farmers and stakeholders claim that his continuous stay has affected activities and their livelihoods. Are you able to, in the next 60 seconds, paint a picture for us, really, how this whole thing has affected whatever activities are supposed to be involved or to be up there?
Since 7th December 2023, farmers and workers have demonstrated against him, and they've engaged in not less than 5 demonstrations. And in those ones, the farmers have made it categorically clear that Dr. Aligiba, first of all, has changed the farming calendar, which doesn't fit the weather or the climate of the region. That's number one. And number two, he takes decisions as far as water, supply to the farms is concerned, and that has reduced the production of, for instance, rice from almost 200 and something tons to something struggling over a little over 100. And for that matter, they strongly say that he has to go. And that is what they've been saying.
Thank you very much, Castro Senyala. And Castro Senyala is our Upper East Regional Correspondent. And that's it for the news on Shri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to SriNews.com for more news. Have a good afternoon.
gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. My name is Manu. Afful, and coming up this afternoon, Ghana ranks 6th in Africa as the most attractive investment country in 2024 by Rand Merchant Bank. But economist Professor John Gachi says the country has the resources to do more.
We are a mineral-rich country, and normally foreign direct investment in Africa in particular are attracted to where we have natural resources.
Plus, government urged to tackle fundamentals of the Ghanaian economy to promote economic growth and employment.
The fundamentals of any country are the basic needs of its citizens, and that is no other than food, clothing, and shelter. There is a need for every country to become self-reliant in these three things. Wheat cannot be grown into this country. It needs school.
We have details of these stories and more lined up for you. Please stay. Let's get straight into the details. Dean of UCC Business School, Professor John Gachi, says Ghana's natural resources and technological innovations make it a sought-after destination for investment in Africa. Reacting to the Rand Merchant Bank's ranking of Ghana as 6th among 31 Africa countries as the most attractive investment destination in 2024, Professor Gachi emphasized that the report does not provide a clear assessment of the country's economic performance.
Attractive if what investors want is available. We have an investment law which is incentive-driven. It provides enough incentive for investors to come to Ghana, and if that is of interest to them, they will be attracted to the country. Of course, the economy is not the one that we can describe as we shut down. There are potential for growth of the economy. We are a mineral-rich country, and normally foreign direct investment in Africa in particular are attracted to where we have natural resources, and Ghana is a natural resource-rich country, and we are also doing well in terms of technology. There's much more to be done in any way.
You heard Dean of University of Cape Coast Business School, Professor John Gachi there. Away from that, Executive Chairman of IPMC, Amar Deep Harry, has urged the next government to address the fundamental issues of the Ghanaian economy in order to foster growth and economic development. Speaking at the recently held First Ghana CEO Presidential Gala Dinner, the businessman emphasized the need for the country to produce and consume what it has as a competitive advantage in order to reduce imports.
The fundamentals of any country are the basic needs of its citizens, and that is no other than food, clothing, and shelter. There is a need for every country to become self-reliant in these three things. Wheat cannot be grown into this country. It needs cooler climates. But our favorite is wheat bread or rice, which comes from the Far East. Cotton is grown in moderate climates, and Ghana has the perfect climate to grow cotton. But we don't do that. Every cloth is imported, and all the second-hand clothes, Ghana is the dumping ground. When it comes to the shelter, buildings, the whole world is adopting steel as the main raw material. But with us, we have the largest deposits of iron ore, and we are not converting it to steel.
That was Executive Chairman of IPMC, Amar Deep S. Harry, stressing the need for Ghana to shift from imports to production to solve its economic challenges. In more stories, Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, has criticized executives in the business community for their lack of interest in national matters. He lamented that those who should be driving the Ghanaian economy have left it in the hands of politicians and only speak out when issues directly affect them. He pointed to the deafening silence of business leaders regarding the current advocacy efforts in fighting illegal mining.
We as CEOs have been too docile when it comes to the issues of state. We have surrendered the whole space to the politicians. And we know for a fact that all the ideas do not reside in the heads of the politicians. When we were in school, some of them were in the same classes with them. What level of gray matter did they have that we did not have? And it's because for all of us as businesses, we also become very selfish. What is it that we are getting is only our focus. So when it comes to issues of advocacy to save the country, we will not. The only time you got the middle class coming in to protest is when the DDP happened and your pockets were being, impacted. Where is the private sector when all of us are being poisoned every day with the cyanide and the lead that is going into the water bodies? You're quiet.
Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe there. Now, an agriculturist, Edward Karewe, has noted any monetary incentive aimed at ensuring income security for Ghana's cocoa farmers should really factor in real economic conditions amid high cost of production by the farmers. His remarks come on the back of President Akufo Addo's marginal increase in producer price of cocoa during this year's Farmers' Day celebration. Edward Karewe noted that by adding 100 cedis to a bag of cocoa beans to ensure income security for farmers is not enough, citing unfavorable exchange rates and inflation.
There's always the need to try and see how we can support our farmers, particularly raising their incomes up. And then the aim of it is to guarantee income security in view of the current economic challenges. I would say that it is not good enough, because if you look at the rate at which prices are going up, particularly the exchange rate, which is affecting all manner of goods that we consume, I don't think that 100 cedis that is put on each bag is enough to give farmers an income that is good enough to meet the increment that we have in our system. Yes, government has made that effort for it, but I think that it's not good enough. Nevertheless, that is what government thinks it should do. Sometimes it is not just about having a good intention, it's also about whether or not what government does is good enough to actually compensate farmers for the current economic crisis.
Still on the cocoa sector, Edward Karewe noted any incentive for Ghana's cocoa farmers should go beyond income security to addressing smuggling and boosting production.
Cocoa smuggling has reached an apogee, a level where countries like Burkina Faso, which do not even produce cocoa, also receive cocoa smuggled from Ghana. Togo is a major beneficiary of our smuggling of the cocoa, and the cocoa smuggling has taken a novel state where even it's threatening the whole entire survival of the cocoa industry in Ghana. So that again is what government should be telling us. I wish that government and His Excellency the President would have used the opportunity of the Farmers' Day to address the nation, in particular cocoa farmers and those who are interested in the cocoa industry. That look, we've been able to bring down the smuggling of cocoa. And that we have also put ABCD measures in place to increase cocoa production. That we did not hear. What we have only heard is that he's increasing the price of cocoa marginally for income security. And if you look at the cocoa industry, if we don't address the other factors, the likelihood that the cocoa industry will suffer seriously, severely, is there.
You heard the voice of agriculturist Edward Kariwe indicating that protecting Ghana's cocoa sector must be comprehensive. Well, that will be all for Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's www.3news.com. My name is Manu. Afful, and stay tuned. The Urban Blend is up next.